Okay. It
It
wouldn't bother you? Would it be more attractive or less attractive than 50-50?
It's more attractive. But
Okay.
every man is different. Like I said, some men are in their sassy era. So they're kind of like looking at you like, girl, you gonna pay this or what? You know?
You got the wallet?
When you take manhood and try to look at manhood in isolation, you've already got a problem.
Toxic masculinity, toxic femininity. What are those two things? What do they look like?
Yeah, toxic, controlling.
Okay. What's your definition of controlling? I should ask that too.
Controlling like the women of how their body should look like, how should they carry themselves, what they should be doing with their career. That's controlling. That's very controlling.
And it's not apparent to me that any of that is really going to be beneficial towards the relationship. It just sounds not helpful.
Yeah.
And then on the other note too, the toxic femininity, what does that look like? How does it present itself? Take your time to think about it. Have you ever been asked these questions before?
No, these are good questions.
Today we're gonna have fun.
My mind is jogging. I'm like, okay.
All righty. Welcome to Ody Speaks. I am Odysseus Dragon, and I will be talking to my good friend Melanie Marie. I was about to say Melanie Martinez. Great musician there.
Wrong Melanie.
Right, wrong one. So we're going to be talking about the definition of what a good man is. It's not going to be that long of a show, but we're going to have fun. So starting out the day, Melanie, let's get to know you a little bit more. Can you tell me 2-3 things about yourself?
Well, my name's Melanie Marie, as you already introduced me. I'm big on makeup. I'm starting off with my own makeup business. It's still in the works.
Exciting.
Very exciting.
Are we talking about you doing Melanie, like let's say videos on the makeup, or are we talking about you selling types of makeup? Can you break it down a little bit?
So I want to do both, actually. I also want to make makeup.
Okay.
I get with a chemicalist person and create my own brand, as well as do makeup on people and make them look all beautiful and such. So
that's awesome.
Besides that, that's my little side job that I do. I also involved in healthcare on the business side. So sad to say, I'm not a nurse.
Hey, all parts are important. You know, you got to have all pieces of the part, all pieces of the clock to make the clock even function at all.
Exactly. So I also do healthcare as well, and I love it. I've been involved for, I want to say 9-10 years now. So it's been a big passion of mine. That's what brings home the dough.
Oh yeah.
Love it. But yeah, I'm pretty chill. I mean, I love spending time with my son, and we travel.
How old is your son now?
He just turned 5.
Congratulations. Happy birthday. That's awesome.
Belated, right?
Yeah, my goodness. How does it feel to see your child already at 5 now?
Too fast.
Yeah.
Too fast. When your parents literally say, you guys grow up so fast, it's literally like that.
Yeah.
They talk, they walk, you see their whole personality blossom. It's so amazing, honestly. And I love it.
It's crazy too, because like it's you never picture that you're ever ready for having a child.
Yeah.
But then especially doing it a little bit earlier, I think that's great too, because imagine like when you are looking at 40 and 30, like it's going to be crazy that your child's going to be grown completely. You chilling. That's awesome.
Listen, I'm
Congratulations. What got you into podcasting, by the way? Like what got you into seeing this type of stuff?
I don't know. It just intrigued me, just hearing other people's opinions about stuff. And I'm just like, wow.
Were you listening to them before you started watching them, or did you start with just the watching?
I just started listening to them first before I started watching.
That's fair.
So yeah, just listening to them first, and I'm like, ooh, I have opinion about that. If someone was to ask me, and I'm like, I'll just have a conversation with myself about it then.
Yeah. Do you talk out loud? Are you the type to talk out loud?
Oh yeah.
Same.
Like, first of all, actually, I think
I talk out loud all the time. But it like really helps you think out loud.
Yeah.
It makes like everything you do, you're like, oh, this is so much clearer.
Yeah, exactly. You'd be like, huh, I didn't think about that. I should think about it like this way. But like, not all the podcasts that I listen to, like I disagree with. Some of them I'm like, oh wow, you made a really great point. I
What are
didn't
some
think.
that you watch where you go, oh, I disagree with them?
So there's several. There's several of
Okay, I'm
them.
listening because I'm resetting the Facebook. Sure, you're good. Keep talking.
Okay, so there's one that's called Made in Manhattan, which it
Okay. What
involves
are
a
they
lot of
about?
people. So they don't actually live in Manhattan. They live in New York. So I don't know where the title came
Interesting.
from, but they talk about their life experiences. They talk about modern things in the world that's going on, their opinions about it, and they also like take other people's like questions and opinions from like a poll, and then they just share it with everybody, and then they'd be like, what do you viewers think about this viewpoint that this person had and stuff. So I love that.
That is
Another
awesome.
one, a
Is that
little
one
bit
that you disagree with some of the stuff or no?
some I can't think of any right now.
That's okay.
Yeah, I can't think of any right now because their recent one that just came out was about like their exes, and I
Oh,
was
what
actually
was that about?
exes. That was just about their exes from 2023 who made the cut for 2024. It was like that. It was crazy.
Okay. And then what's another one?
So I also like the juicy gossip from celebrities. So I listen
Those
to
are
Rich.
my favorites too. Those are fun.
Yes, yes. I haven't heard any recent ones. I think the last one I heard was about like Ariana Grande, and
What'd you hear about that?
they were slandering her because she is with somebody's husband slash
Wasn't
his
she with Pete
daddy.
Davidson?
No, no, no. It's with this other guy.
This is another one?
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
There
He
we
looks
go.
like
We are
the
back on Facebook. And we should be able to hear everyone's voice. So make sure you guys let me know if you can hear both of us. There we go. But yeah, go ahead. So what happened? Who's she like talking to? Someone's husband?
Yeah, well, it's now ex-husband. The husband left his wife and kid that he just had for
Oh
Ariana
man.
Grande. So that tea is just crazy. So I'm like,
Yeah, that's so messy. But
yeah.
hasn't she been kind of jumping around, jumping ship
Yes.
quite a bit?
Yes, she has. She doesn't know what she wants. She just wants everybody.
I think that is what she wants. She just wants everybody. So,
Literally.
guys, back to the questions that I had. My next question is when we're talking about the 4 pillars, what is that? The 4 pillars are essentially, they break down like this. The first skill set that every person needs to kind of absorb and grow is family, relationships, and social skills. That's important, but they're all separate. The next one would be health, mental health, physical health, diet. The next one is work, career, and money generation. And then the one after that would be the vacationing, maintenance, and oil checks, essentially. But oil checks for the mind, like we're talking about meditations and stuff like that, self-actualization, maybe. So when we look at all 4 of those pillars, if you need me to say them again, I can. What would you say they are holding at the top?
So ranking them?
Yeah, what do you think they're holding? They all support something. The pillars hold something on top of them. What do you think they hold? There's 4 of them, which means they hold life, Life. So 1 to 10, what would you say you would rank yourself 1 to 10 on all of these? So social skills, family, and relationships, 1 to 10, as in what is your desired goal? How close do you think you are to what you're trying to get to? And what would make it better for you?
Okay. So for social, I give myself a 10. I feel like
Okay,
I'm very social. I'm pretty
I would
good at
agree.
networking for sure. Um, ask me like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I would have given myself at least a 2 or 3.
Interesting.
But
Why
I've
did you
grown
say that? Because you were pretty social back then. Oh, you were
not
kind of
when I
quiet,
moved
actually.
here. Yeah, not when I first moved here. And same as that too. Like in college, I was very quiet. I stayed to myself a lot.
Yeah,
So, but since
which
I
is
moved
funny because
here,
how did I come off back then? Was
we had the
I,
same class. We had the same Spanish class. That's why.
yeah, Spanish,
That's the
man, that
only
was a
reason.
great Spanish class.
That was literally it.
That
We
was
had
it.
the same Spanish class.
Yeah, because we would like
Yeah,
study together and stuff.
exactly. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's how we met.
Yep,
Um,
yep. Because I remember
but
people would
yeah.
say I would talk a lot, but I was kind of quiet. Like, but
No,
then,
you did. You talked a lot to me. I felt
yeah, well, people that were cool, but Non-cool people, I was kind of hidden. Okay. So what do you think was the catalyst for growing you up socially?
I think I just put myself out there more. I made was very determined, like, listen, if I want to succeed with my business, I need to put myself out there. I need to start going to more social groups, start talking more to people, start networking. And then look at me now. I've been socializing a lot more and talking a lot more as well. So that's helping me out a lot. So,
amen.
But yeah, now I give myself a 10 for social. Social gatherings, yes, 10. I feel like I mastered that. Health-wise, I feel like it's like a 50 health-wise. Health-wise as in like medical health, right?
I get you.
That's what you're saying specifically.
Yeah.
That's in the tiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a 50. It's like
Same. So I never
better,
told you this,
honestly.
but during that time I had like a really strong heat allergy.
Wow, really?
Yeah. So like 65 degrees and up was basically too much for me.
Wow.
Yeah. So I had to go through a lot of pain and tribulation to like get used to crazy heats and how to deal with it. And then it kind of went away, it didn't just go away. Like I did some crazy stuff to get that away. I met with a guy who did some sort of chakra healing and he literally took it away. It was the weirdest thing. I didn't expect it. I wasn't expecting him to be good at whatever he was doing, and it totally worked. So I was like, well, that's fascinating because I didn't have any expectation or anything. Yeah. That was interesting. So yeah, I would agree. My health is somewhere around the same. I think it's getting better, but the medical is really holds people back often. And this is important to talk about because when we get to the actual full grown topic, this kind of plays a big point into what people require in their partners and stuff based on where they're at with their own. So the next one would be career, money, and money generation, and that.
Okay, I'm not where I want to be. I can be honest. That's like a 30, 20, 30. I feel like I've made a lot of progress throughout the years with my experience and stuff in education, but it's not where I want to be. I see more for myself, and I'm continue to grow. I'm gonna continue to work really hard, continue studying to get to where I want to be.
Of course. I mean, you're making progress. That's like the biggest thing on that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of people get stagnant.
Oh yeah. No,
oh yeah.
I've been consistent. I've been seeing improvement the past few years I've been here. So
that is so good. Yeah. And then the last one was the maintenance, and we're talking about oil changes and vacations and just finding ways to enjoy life still.
I feel like I've done a lot better last year. I think last year I could say that was the most vacation time, family time I've actually experienced.
Really?
And self-maintenance on myself. Yeah, I can say I traveled a lot last year with, visiting my family outside of the states or outside of this state specifically.
Yeah.
So that's the most I've done. And I'm proud, I got to have that quality time. It's important. Car maintenance, I'm on top of everything with my car. I don't let that go dry. So I give that's up there. That's recent. If I would have said again, like if it was like 3 years, 4 years ago, I'd been like, no, I need to work on traveling and working on self-maintenance, even on myself.
It's hard to do when you're like, when there's so much happening in life. It's the first thing that kind of goes away.
Exactly. Especially as a parent.
I bet.
Firsthand, neglecting my self-maintenance, self-care. Mm-hmm. Yes. You can just kind of throw that out the window and just focus on, your child.
Absolutely.
Maintenance to make sure they look presentable at all times. So for sure.
This leads perfectly into the next question I have for you, which is when it comes to upbringing, what would you say your upbringing was like? And do you use a lot of the same parenting techniques when it comes to for your child?
My upbringing, a lot different than this generation, hands down. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure you could say the same. Mm-hmm. A lot different. I feel like parents were a lot stricter than they are now. Now they've incorporated gentle parenting and other factors to kind of be more lenient with their child and to kind of having them be more free. Growing up in a Hispanic household, that does not apply. So that I'm still on that old-fashioned ways of being strict on top of my child. No matter what this generation says about gentle parenting and having their children pretty much roam free. So that's that's that. What was the second question? Was it two-part?
And do you use a lot of the same techniques for your child?
Yes, I do. I sure do. And I feel like it still works. It still works because children needs that authoritative figure. They need
They
that
do.
in life. You can't have them roaming out free and out your house, like whatever,
Yeah. Would you
know?
say you're more on the strict side or more on the this new liberal side of like trying to be flexible and letting them do whatever?
I think I'm strict. I think I'm going to continue being strict. Because they need that. They need that
They
boundaries.
do.
They need discipline, you know. I don't let my kid walk all over me because that's not going to fly by me, you know. And then
Yeah.
that's how you get respect, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
to each his own. Everybody has their own opinion about their parenting styles, and I don't come at anybody for that. Like, hey, if that works with you, cool. But this is the way
Yeah.
I do things here, and this what works with in my household, you know.
Of course. So the big question, the topic of today is, what would you say is your definition of a good man? And the
Yeah.
next question will be, what is your definition of a modern man?
So a good definition for a great man and modern man.
Yeah.
Good man, he's able to be financially stable.
Yeah.
He's able to lead, lead the family, lead himself, have that leadership skills. That's very important.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I'm looking at my notes. I wrote so much down. I
I'm
don't
glad
want
you
to leave
did.
anything
Go
out.
ahead. Go ahead.
Being confident, strong.
Okay.
That's what I would consider.
I would agree. There's a difference between confidence and cocky.
Yes,
And that's
exactly.
hard for people to get sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
And then compared to the modern man, I think he can carry the same characteristics, though things have slightly changed. Um, Let me know if I'm overstepping, but
You're good. Go ahead. Keep talking.
it's this type of generation where men have been quite feminine in their sassy era
They
is what
are.
you
It's the most
think.
sassy men have been.
So that, I guess, what we're all seeing is that's the new modern man nowadays, is that there
Yeah.
are wanting to have that feminine energy kind of flow through them now, and then the women are picking up the masculine energy, so like the roles are reversed.
Yeah.
So
Isn't that weird?
yeah, it's different. It is very different. So
Yeah. So one thing I've noticed on this is that you have to kind of base it off of what people want. And when we talk to a lot of women, they typically go, "Well, I need the guy to be at least at my level, maybe a little bit
yes,
higher. I need him to be able to lead, but also listen to me well. A good leader knows how to listen,
right,
because I don't know. I hate fake progress, because if you don't listen to your people that are going to listen to you, then you don't actually know what they want or where they're trying to go. So like I've done general management at car washes, at laser tag companies, at different types of companies. And whenever you're managing staff, they have their own goals and desires, and often it's sometimes not the same thing. And so you'll see real quick, like if you just go, what do you actually want? Where are you trying to go? And then you lead them in that direction. They're so happy. They're like, oh my goodness, thank you. Now I'm listening to you. And so I
yeah,
think when picking a good man, you really want to make sure that they have the exact what's the word I'm looking for? They have the exact plan and desires and goals that you are having, very similar at least. That way when they make decisions, it's not like, oh, but is he looking at my best interest at heart? It's like, yes, everything he does is going to be at that. But I also think if we add religion into it too, it is also connected to being a godly man. That way he can even lead in the
right,
first place.
yeah, absolutely.
Oh yeah. And
We
in
agree.
modern, we said was mostly sassy. I would totally agree with that. My opinion on the modern man is everyone's running from responsibility.
Yeah,
And it's like everything's a little too scary right now,
yeah,
inflation, wars and stuff. I think it plays into social media, which we talked about a little bit
yeah.
earlier. What's
Yeah.
your opinion on social media and its positive and harmful effects?
Social media. Though I love social media, it's a great platform to share ideas, to promote yourself. It has those good effects, but it also, looking at the relationship side, as well as what a female or modern woman or modern man should be, it's misleading. You see things like, oh, this woman is a boss because she does X, Y, Z. Oh, this man, he's a boss as well because he does X, Y, and Z. Oh, you should do this if you want this result. Vice versa for both parties, for both men.
It's kind of like an equation. If you want this thing, you have to do the thing that's going to get that thing. Like if, let's say, for instance, the female is a little too masculine, whatever that may be, we can even talk about that if we want to.
Yeah.
But if they are, they're going to require the man to be even more.
Yeah.
Which is rough because that much more masculine, what does that even mean at that point? Is it now they're kind of going to be fighting you, and aggression is displayed constantly? If you want them to be a little bit softer, then you would have to be that level of femininity that won't require them to be like, I said this and all this extra.
Yeah.
Which is weird. So, it's now we're seeing that constant battle.
Exactly. It's just two dominants arguing with each other.
Yeah. What's your opinion on, because okay, so there's a big infatuation right now with the idea of the Bonnie and Clyde relationship, the the Jay-Z and the Beyonce type. What's your opinion on that? Boss babe, boss husband? Because there's pros and cons, I guess.
So a great example I can actually give you, I don't know if you're familiar with Austin McBroom and Catherine McBroom.
Yes, I am.
YouTube
absolutely.
People, they put out so much positivity, so much positive content that look what happened now. They were struggling with their marriage. They were struggling internally off camera, which led to this big disaster. And that just shows you not everything is rainbows and sunshine. Not everything is positive. Everything you see in the light of the camera is not always real. And that's one thing I think that a lot of people miss, is that it's not real. People actually have problems off camera, you know?
Yeah, so many problems.
So that's that's the biggest.
I think you're right. People are trying to like display their best version of their life, and then people go, "Oh yeah, that you look amazing," and then that's where people can get respect, social credit, social points, and everything. But then they're kind of depressed because they're like, "My life isn't actually like that all the time. It's probably 80% a struggle. That doesn't mean bad per se, just a struggle, and then there's 20% where it's like amazing." And so they're showing the 20%, and they're like, "That's my life."
Yeah.
And then it's also making people look online and go, wow, I wish I had that life instead.
And that's the problem, because it's not real. And they forget that problems do exist off camera. But then what do? How do you fix that? They don't show that, which I believe they should show the issues that occur behind camera so people can get a realistic view. Like, dang, they actually have problems. And this is how they go about to resolve that. They never show like the fighting in the background. People can get a
let me ask you on that. Do you think it would be productive to show the fighting, or would it actually be more harmful in a way promoting fighting?
It'll be harmful for the views. It'll be harmful. They'll probably lose,
some people,
a lot of viewers, and people that support them, because they don't want to see that.
I could also see, like, if you're looking up to people and you're going through a hard relationship, and then you see them doing well, and maybe it would inspire you to go, oh my goodness, I should try that. Oh, they just did some romantic thing. Let me try doing that. But it can also have the other effect. So I guess it really does come down to people need to have discernment, and that goes away too. Like if you don't have the right traditional core values, discernment being one of them, you're just gonna kind of go, oh, whatever. You're gonna almost pick the negative outcome almost always when you're making decisions. Like you'll see yourself as the victim, so you're kind of you're going to compete with everything and go, okay, well, you know what, let me just pick the negative one because I don't have to compete. I'm a loser essentially. And then you can always pick something, always manifesting your negative downfall.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. So the next question I had for you was, if we were to kind of reverse it, what would you say is a good woman, and what is a modern woman in your opinion?
Listen, I love that question, because I feel like I am actually exemplifying the good woman, modern woman.
Okay.
So modern woman is being a boss, being independent, doing what a man can do, equally. It's not just a man's job, it's a woman's job too. Women can be entrepreneurs, women can do anything as well. So having those characteristics enables them to be strong. And allows them to have the opportunity to grow as well.
Would you say you feel
confident?
You see yourself as a modern woman?
Oh, Oh, yes, absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. I'm a boss, 100%.
Oh, yeah. You
I'm
have to be, especially with what you're going through. Like, you really have to take your life by the reins.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Not only that, I also have friends that are also bosses. And I'm like, yes, I've got a good group of ladies on my team. We all bosses over here. We're doing our thing, working hard for ourselves, not having to depend on a man like, back in olden times,
Of course.
So I love that.
Especially in our culture too, like Latino culture is kind of like that as well.
Yes. Latino women like that
too. Yeah. So can I ask you, and then, what would you say are the definitions of a good woman? Like, what would be the traits a good woman would have?
So they're going to be confident, going to be independent. Like I said, they're going to be a boss. They're going to be a boss. They're going to work hard for what they want.
Okay. So you would say good woman and modern woman would be matching together, actually.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What would you say are the traits in women right now that men are having issues with? We've discussed women are having issues with men being kind of losers essentially and not trying hard enough to better themselves in a lot of ways. What would you say men are having issues with women?
I think some men are getting intimidated because women are starting to be more dominant in a way.
Okay.
They aren't.
And can you discuss what that looks like in a practical setting when a guy starts becoming intimidated, or what does he do that lets you know, like, I feel like he's being intimidated. He's intimidated now.
So seeing a successful woman with a business, men I've seen, they don't like that because they want.
What do they say or what do they do?
It's not what they say. It's the way that they kind of like
behave, I guess, or
behave. Yeah, you could see in their face and their body language, or like, oh man, she's doing so well, and like now I feel like I'm not up here. I'm like right here or lower. Because
can I ask you this question then? Because I love this topic. This is so interesting to me. So, would you say for you, what you're like? What are you currently dating?
Currently, yeah, talking to someone in a dating scene.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. So when you're dating and talking to people, are you looking for someone as your equal, or are you wanting someone a little bit like someone to look up to, essentially, to some degree?
So I'm both. I'm both. I don't mind someone being here with me as long as they have what I'm looking for. They are what we talked about for a modern man minus the sassiness. Yeah. That's what I'm looking for. If they do know a lot more than I do, then yes, I will look up to them and seek more advice because I want to grow as well.
Absolutely.
And teach me what you know and vice versa because we can both benefit from each other.
Oh, yeah. I think everyone's a box full of knowledge, so you truly can learn from everyone. Yeah. In my experience, when I've talked to different people, I've seen that. So this is a fun conversation. So, like, you know how they say that there are no dumb questions?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I used to believe that. I'm always like an inquisitive person, so I'll ask a lot of questions. But this podcast kind of talks a lot about social skills and social dynamics. And one thing that I have looked at extensively is how do people interact with you when you ask certain questions? And basically, you got to kind of look at it like this. A person might have, let's say, 10 points of, this is their budget. They have 10 points worth of social credit. And every time they do certain actions in an environment with certain types of people, they will start to slowly lose their social credit. And what does that mean? That means that people respect them a little bit less. They treat them a little less like they are important to listen to, or they give them less nice treatment. They might even kind of walk away from them quicker. Like very small things start to change. You just basically kind of get in their way instead of getting out of their way. So, for instance, if you ask your partner as a dude, hey, honestly, I don't know how to do taxes. She's going to be like, okay, well, that's fine. And then he goes, by the way, I don't know how to read the maps. Like, what do you mean read maps? Like GPS? Yeah, I don't know how to do that either. What? And you start to slowly go, you can't lead me. You can't lead yourself. You're kind of confusing. Like, how do you not know this? And the guy will go, crap, I can't learn from any woman because every time he does it, they slowly start to treat him like, oh, you're really a loser. Yeah. So then you start asking males and males start going, oh, dude, it's just this, but they'll still pick on you. They'll joke about it, but they will kind of allow you to keep moving forward. Another one on this same line, men don't typically look at women and go, I can't wait to find me a good leader. They typically go, I just want a good like help me or in something in that fashion. That doesn't mean they can't be a boss woman and be a leader. It's just
Right.
in the dynamics of them two together. They're not going, I'm looking for a leader. They're
Yeah.
going, I need someone who's gonna like be a part of this castle that we're doing. So, oh, so I guess might as well give my opinion on the boss man versus not man versus but the Beyonce and Jay-Z sort of relationship.
Right.
The way I see it, it is very possible and very doable. But have you, let me ask you this first before I go into that. Have you done like management in any sort of way? Like in any sort of job, like tried leadership roles or yeah.
Yeah, I was a supervisor. It's a
Perfect.
hefty role.
Yeah, so you know
I
exactly what I'm talking
understand.
about. I knew you
Yeah.
would have. So, you ever been in those circumstances where your subordinates are like, "Hey, I want to do this," and you're like, "Okay, I get it, but like you have to do it this way, no matter what you say. Like this is truly going to be a better way," and you almost have to communicate it in such a way because you can never just go because I said so.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So
I
it's the same
understand that.
thing guys have to do because I don't know if you've noticed, but if the way God intended it, women typically look out for themselves. Like if you look at like what they're looking for, they're going, I need to make sure that I'm protected. I need to make sure me and my kids are protected. The guy
Right.
doesn't go, I need to make sure I'm protected. He goes, I need to make sure the family's protected. So if you have both of them leading, then you typically have the girl going, am I good? Do I have savings for me? Do I have this? Do I have that? And the guy will typically go, oh, I forgot about me. But I made sure that all of us are eating and I go last. It's the same thing as like the Titanic. So
Right.
when you're looking at two leaders and we're talking like a Beyonce and a Jay-Z, you typically have this issue where they basically are both in support of the woman, which means the guy
Right.
might start getting resentment. um, I'm doing right now a series trying to figure out what insecurity truly looks like between the parties. Can I ask you on that? But first, what do you think about what I said there?
Okay, that's you covered a lot, a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
did.
ground, but I was in agreement for like some of it, to
Okay,
be
what
honest
parts
with
did you not agree with? Maybe I can expound upon
you.
what I was saying.
About the man saying that, I'm going to support my family first and then support myself.
That's why we're talking about a good man. See, a bad
That is
man doesn't have responsibility and he's not looking
correct.
to support the family.
That's correct. Yeah. But I was going to counter that with
Go ahead.
nowadays, you don't really see that. You see the reversed roles
Reverse
of
Uno.
the man wants the woman to support them and they just want to be like the house of
House
like the
husband.
dad. Yeah,
I've
basically.
been hearing a lot of that. Is that so in Virginia? It's rare. Like I talk to a lot of different people with the type of work I do where we like talk to people and basically interview them a lot. Um and I'll run into it like two or three times in the week, but it's mostly the opposite. But I've been hearing in Florida it is the opposite. Like it's a lot of guys looking for sugar mamas. Is this
Yeah,
like what's tell me about
basically.
this?
You're not lying. That is actually very true. Yeah.
Wow.
So
What do you think that is coming from?
I don't know, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
I think it probably has to do with the culture where they grew up. Maybe their parents did a lot for them, so they're
But
like, oh,
like
dependent on my mom, my dad. So
Florida is filled with Cubans, Dominicans, no Republicans. I guess some, but like Peruvians. We're talking about like Dominicans, Haitians,
yeah,
like all of those cultures. That is that prevalent?
I don't think it's just with the Hispanic community. I think it's just across the board.
Really, it's everyone.
I think it's everyone. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
What do you think that's coming from? It's just you
I
think it's
think it's
just
just where they grew up. The type of
mm,
household they were raised in. Because times are
wow.
different.
The reason
So
why I was saying it like that too is because I would be sorry to believe that you would like talk to someone, go on a date with them, and then the guy goes, "Yeah, so by the way, I want you to be my sugar mama," and you'd be like, "Let's keep talking."
not directly though. They won't say it directly, but they
Okay, they'll
would kind
slowly
of
start like
like,
having you pay for everything.
yes, exactly what they would do. You just keep a lookout for like the key things, that they're doing.
Okay, now when that
I just look
happens,
at you and just be
does that
like,
make you go, "This is way less attractive," or no?
I'm like 50-50 on that,
Okay, walk
to
me
be
through that.
honest. Sometimes it's like, I'm like, dang, what do I gotta pay? Sometimes I'm just like, oh, it's so nice that, paid, whatever. And it
Yeah.
just depends. It just depends. But
So
then
like
when you
for So let's say your partner currently just goes, you know what? I'll handle all of those things. We're not talking about like traditional, like crazy old stuff. I'm just saying like that particular quality was there where he's like, hey, like I asked you out, I'm the one paying for everything. Right. How would you feel about that? Would that be more attractive?
That wouldn't bother me at all.
Okay. It wouldn't bother you. Would it be more attractive or less attractive than 50-50?
It's more attractive, but every man is different. Like I said, some men are in their sassy era. So they're kind of like looking at you like, girl, you gonna pay this or what? You know?
You got the wallet?
Yeah, you got the wallet. And I admit I had paid for some dates too. Did I want to? Not really. But did I? Yeah, I did.
Okay. I feel like 50-50 makes absolute sense once it's committed and in within a relationship, like we are going to be together now. Like once it's there, I think that works. I think males that are trying to operate in the 50-50, it's typically because they're not willing to put themselves out there enough. They go, you know what, whatever, I'm going to handle this. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But that energy is way more attractive. But I guess we're talking about two different things. Once you're in a relationship, it really is that partnership of just this tussle back and forth, 50-50, 70-80, 70-30. Like it really goes between all that. But in the initial start, if the guy is showing all these sassy traits, it's just going to really ruin, I think, the quality of her respect for him, which means there is no leadership in him, especially if he's like imagine a boss who goes, hey, by the way, I need you to cover everything like half the time. It's like, you're not my boss anymore.
Yeah.
So relationships are very different. It's not a boss relationship.
Yeah.
But it's definitely like needing to look up to someone a little bit. So I have a video for us to watch. I'm curious what you'll think about this.
Absolutely.
So this is an interesting video right here. It talks about how men are in crisis right now. Tell me what you think. Let me know if you can hear the audio.
I can't hear it.
Okay. So let me go ahead and share the audio as well, and then you should be able to hear it. Boom. Can you hear it now?
Diagnosis right, and they're getting a lot of the prescription wrong.
Yeah.
They're correctly pointing out that men have lost their way. They're correctly pointing out that men have been feminized, that a lot of what men were supposed to do has been taken away from them. But their answer is not to sort of restore traditional manhood.
Right.
Their answer is to almost take advantage of the failures of the system. So be as promiscuous as you want, nail as many chicks as you want. Go out there and experience life and never settle down, never have kids, never take on obligation. Because after all, that's what the world wants of you. Now, what do you make of the state of men right now? Because it is true that across the country, men are in crisis. I mean, they're not going to school as much as women. They're not in the workforce as much as women anymore. They're not getting married. They're addicted to pornography. I mean, these are serious crises.
Yeah. And part of that is, when you take manhood and try to look at manhood in isolation, you've already got a problem. The God who created us, he created us male and female. And so you cannot understand maleness apart from femaleness, right? You have to understand what it means to be a man, first of all, by what it means to be made in the image of God, and second of all, by what it means to be made as this counterpart to a woman. And this idea that God created us to be priest and prophet and provider and protector. God designed us that way. And when you take us away from that, like, we're bigger than women, we're stronger than women, we have all of these things that allow us to take advantage of women. They get pregnant, we don't. We can just walk away from it and, leave them with that. There are so many things that if left unchecked, they do allow for this toxic version of masculinity. And so what we have to call men back to is this understanding of manhood that is outside of themselves. And you being a man is not just about who you think you are or even who you want to be. It is about you pointing back to the one who made you. It's about you pointing back to the purpose for which he made you. And it's about you pointing back to the relationship that he intends for you to have with the opposite sex. And one of the things you mentioned is men not wanting to be married. That's an incredibly important part.
But yeah, so what do you think?
He made a lot of great points.
Yeah.
He sure did.
Went through the whole thing.
Yeah, he sure did. He is being realistic that I guess men are starting to be out of touch of what their roles are in society. He's not wrong. you're supposed to be this way, but men are getting drifted off,
Yeah.
and you kind of have to remind them, hey, this is what God brought you here for. God brought you here to be a leader, a protector. I forgot the third thing that he said, but those are like the 2 points that I was like, yes, they are starting to drift off from that. They're starting to forget what their role is here in society, especially there with, he said, the opposite sex. So with women, absolutely, and that's concerning to see that they're not wanting, to build a family, to get married, and like the other man had said, the interviewee, our interviewer, that they just, go out, bang whoever they want and just live life, so absolutely, yeah.
Can I ask you, so they were kind of talking about like this toxic version of what masculinity is supposed to look like. Could you describe for me what you might say that would look like? A toxic, let's say, I don't want to necessarily say toxic masculinity, but it's kind of that. Toxic masculinity, toxic femininity. What are those two things? What do they look like?
Toxic masculinity. Like their characteristics?
Yeah. When you go, man, those traits are really exhibiting that. And the reason why I ask is because we kind of have to define what bad looks like and what good looks like to really figure out what this good is supposed to be.
Yeah, toxic, controlling.
Okay. What's your definition of controlling? I should ask that too.
Controlling like the women of how their body should look like, how should they carry themselves, what they should be doing with their career. That's controlling. That's very controlling.
And it's not apparent to me that that any of that is really going to be beneficial towards the relationship. It just sounds not helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. And then on the other note too, the toxic femininity, what does that look like? How does it present itself?
I think.
Take your time to think about it. Have you ever been asked these questions before?
No, these are good questions.
Today we're gonna have fun.
My mind is jogging. I'm like, okay. Person.
Or I can help jog your memory a little bit too. Like we were talking about how men are becoming more feminine, females are becoming a little more masculine. What would you say are the negative sides of that? We talked about men's being kind of sassiness. That's not really attractive for women.
Right.
And then what about women? What are they doing that might be you would consider masculine or not attractive to men?
I guess them trying to be dominant.
And what does that look like?
The dominant person in like the household of, I tell you to do this. That kind of ties into controlling though at the same time.
So either way, don't be controlling.
Yeah.
I agree with you on that. I've kind of looked at this a little bit. So it's all based on what you want. If you want a relationship where the person is going to be following you more, you always have to be the one who's going to be a little bit less front facing. You have to be a little okay with running the back. That doesn't matter who you are, if you're going to be the guy or the girl. So it's not really being masculine or feminine. It's just like, who wants to be the one who doesn't feel like everything is on their back if things fall apart? Right. And typically women want men to be that. And it is very difficult to say, like, I'm a boss. And then the guy's supposed to be a bigger boss? Like, because he's supposed to be the leader. So if you both are the leader, there's not a single job that really has it where two people are in charge. It is kind of one is. So that's why I said it's so imperative that the guy have the right center and core values, because if he doesn't, let's call that your generator. Your generator is the ability to make decisions, and your decisions have to be based on, a good set of core values. If your core values are trash, then yes, controlling would be, trying to control every single thing they do or where they go. But if your core values are good and you trust the guy that you're with because you picked him because he has good values, then when he goes, hey, I don't think you should go out tonight, it's not just a why. It's like, no, I get it. Maybe there's a reason that I'm not even thinking about. So that controlling is so hard it's vague, but it's vague because if you pick a bad guy, a lot of the things he does and says are probably going to look like that. And then some of those similar things might look very different if it's coming from a good person with good, a good generator of their values. Then their decision making is sound. So you're going to be listening to not every single 100% thing, but that like 90% of what they say is typically coming from a smart place. What do you think about that?
You made some very strong points, honestly. Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you
And then on
said.
that note as well, when we're looking at raising children, that has to be, you're incredible for this. Let me just give you a compliment on that. That is
Thank
absolutely
you.
incredible.
Thank you.
I think I can't remember where you first released the news, but I just remember seeing that and I was like, that's exciting. Um,
Mhm.
and to see how far you've come with that, good job, very good job on
Thank
that.
you.
Yeah. For you, what would you say are some of the core things where you're like, I saw this in men today. I got to make sure my son doesn't have that quality.
There's so many
I'm
things.
sure.
There's so many things, and just I've, even my relationships with men in the past, I'm like,
Of
I
course.
am not having my kid around you. You are not what he needs.
Of
He needs a
course.
strong role model.
I was going to ask about that too. Like when you've been dating and you've picked males and you go, okay, so most of you is good, but there's this part that's not good or whatever, whatever. What are some of the traits that you saw they had where you're like, man, I definitely do not want my son picking that up from you?
Yeah.
What were some of those things?
Lack of leadership.
Mm.
Lack of leadership. I don't want to say weak, but that's
Basically weak because their
primarily
leadership is
what it
bad.
is. Yeah, they're very weak, and I'm very strong fourth, and
Yeah.
you can't, have that type of spunk in
Can
you.
you give me a breakdown of what that looks like? So like, because I love that, but I want to make sure that the reason why I ask you like break it down for me is so I can understand exactly what you're saying, and I don't want to put extra thought I don't want to like fill in the blank. So
Yeah.
when you say I would like, a leader, not weak and stuff like that, what are some things where you're kind of front facing and you're like, it sounds like you're saying you want him to be to some degree stand up to some things that you might say or put out. You might think something's a good idea but you're not fully sure, so you give it to him and he's supposed to kind of know if he thinks it's not, which will allow you to know the truth, like, oh, maybe it isn't good. But if he
Yeah.
doesn't do that, then it's like, so am I making a good decision? And he's like, sure. And you're like, frick you.
Yeah.
Like, you're not really
Yeah.
helping me do better.
So yeah, when it comes to making like special decisions, it's nothing like major,
Of
but like
course, it's the little things that
just the
matter though.
little stuff, where I'm just like, oh, should we go here or travel here? Yeah, it's whatever you want. Like it's not confident, you know.
Mm.
Especially like around my son. I want my son to feel confident in his answers. If you're not confident in your answers, that's
Decisive.
a problem. That's a problem. If I'm
Yeah.
confident in my answer, I want my child to be as well.
Mm.
And then the sassiness where they kind of just wait around for me to act on something. Like if there was an issue with, just an example,
Of course.
like my car or something, and
Of
I'm like,
course.
dang, oil change, and oh, you need an oil change? Oh, you should probably get that done. Like, no, I want someone to be like, let me get this for you, you
Yeah.
know? So
Huh. I get that.
I kind of I look at them and be like, like you
I
should
call that
like
quality
be,
mindfulness. When someone notices that you need something and they go straight to go and get it, or they make it easier for you to get stuff done.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So, you see, that's the thing. That is how my mom raised me. She was like, that is a trait that must be instilled. Like, you need to be like, oh, someone needs this. Hey, by the way, I already got it. I heard you passing, said that you needed this thing.
Yeah,
By the way, I picked it up on the way. Like,
yeah,
stuff like that is so imperative because this is the way. Do you know your love language, by the way?
yeah. I'm quality, mostly quality,
Quality
and
time?
gift
Okay.
giving, like 50-50. Well, mostly quality. Gift giving is like if I'm really feeling the person.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
quality time,
Um,
100%.
so okay. My mom's is acts of service. I used to think that was slavery. But it actually is
Funny.
brilliant because what it is the only resource you can't get back is time. So if someone's willing to basically do something for you so you don't have to spend your own time, what they're
Yeah,
really saying is that they value you so much that they're willing to sacrifice their time so that you have more of your time back. So
yeah.
it's the same with what you just said there, like being able to do stuff for you. You are doing your when you want to just chill. No, don't come over here. Go chill. She's supposed to be a co-star. Whenever if you've ever seen any of my gaming videos, it's like it's a running joke on the channel that the cat will always be jumping around and like laying somewhere or like coming on my back. I don't know what you're doing. You want to chill? But no. So here is the dichotomy that I am seeing at play here with you. And you tell me what you think, disagree on, or agree on. When you keep running into guys that do this type of behavior, what it does is it teaches you to go, okay, I need to take care for myself because they're literally not doing their part.
Right.
Now, here's the challenge. When you do come across a guy that does, if you are still like overly front facing, and I'm just saying like too oppositional, I guess, then he would be like, oh, well, I need you to do kind of the opposite of that. And so the challenge becomes women date so many, I don't want to say crappy, but not meeting the standard guys that they end up not being able to connect easily with or know how to pull back. Because I mean, y'all have had to hold it on your shoulders for so long. I've seen this with my mom. My mom is now separate from my ex-father. And essentially, yeah, and it's been crazy. I'll tell you more about that offline because that's a story. But man, it's been crazy. And her pulling back is interesting. Like, okay, here's something my mom and I talked about, and I can talk about this on air because we've had this conversation. My mom she has a double master's in special education and elementary education. She's highly educated. And she's homeschooled me and my 4 younger siblings. Like everyone was homeschooled, and we're all from her and dad. There was no extra party. She has been like very what's the word I'm looking for? Incredible in holding herself to whatever her goals are and in the reality. The challenge has become that now that she separates from him, when we were having like stresses and issues, I'd be like, Mom, I have this issue. And what I really want to do is just tell her the issue and I will solve it. But there's a particular thing that I'm waiting on. So I can't solve it until that gets fixed. So my mom goes, okay, this sounds good. But you can fix it doing this and this and this and that. And I'm like, Mom, that's kind of masculine. Like telling me how to fix it. I already got the solution. I can't do anything about it yet. She's like, no, I got to tell you this. I got to tell you that. And I'm like, let me just tell you later. Like, we're just going to not talk about this now. So the same thing reversed. My mom would tell me a story. She doesn't want me to just fix the problem. She wants me to kind of listen to her.
Just listen. Yep.
So what I do, I made it a habit where when I'm talking to any of my friends, mostly female friends, but most friends now, I'll ask them, I'll say, hey, what is the purpose of this conversation? Do you want me to just hear you out? Do you want me to give you like a sounding board? Do you want me to just tell you the truth? And they'll tell me what they want to hear. If it's sounding board or something, then they want me to tell the truth later. So I go, cool, I'm just going to make notes, but I'm just going to listen, give you support. That is a neutral skill, but it is more of a female-centric tailoring too.
I was gonna say that. Yeah, I was like, you don't really hear men say that.
It's tailored for females because my guy friends are just like, tell me exactly what you're feeling, and I just tell them. So it's like it's very emotionally open, but it looks different than it does with females. So I say all that to say, my mom was developing a more assertive behavior, which is okay. Being assertive is fine, but it's not beneficial if she gets with a guy who has solved the problem. Typically, the reason why a lot of my female friends haven't solved the problem yet is because they're not concerned about solving the problem right now. They feel so many emotional pullings that they only want to talk about that, release it, and then they start solving.
Right. Yeah.
But the thing is, guys kind of solve it kind of a little bit quicker. So if I've already solved it, I need to vent, and then I'll solve. Or I'll be venting as I'm already in the process of solving. So it just made it messy when I tried to talk to my mom about almost anything. Until now, she's like, honey, I just listened to you. You just tell me what you got to do. I'm like, Mom, you're back into like the feminine energy that you used to have. But you see what I'm saying? So that was a long drawn out thing. But essentially, there are traits that are so magically like linked, like positive, like yin and yang. And some of these traits go away if you keep dating bad men because they essentially make you have to be more assertive and stronger so you can beat that. What do you think about that?
I can echo that because I myself am just like your mom. But that's because I have to be,
exactly.
Because it's a daily living of a single mom. I have to carry myself that way. I wish I was in my feminine, soft girl era. I wish. But
it's coming, girl. It's coming.
It's coming. It's coming, I hope. But yeah, I can echo off of that. And sometimes I do the venting and then I'm like, I don't need a solution. I'm just wanting to talk. I have the solution, or I'm working towards that solution at another date.
Yeah, of course.
I totally understand that. And it takes the right person to probably pull, not probably, but that will pull that
I
soft
think you're right.
out of me, you know?
Oh yeah,
But
it absolutely does. I had two more questions and then we're gonna get ready to wrap it up. Okay, so we've talked a lot about all these different social dynamics between men and women. For you, when you're talking about dating, what would you say has been the most eye-opening thing within just dating and relationships where you're like, huh, like, okay, this is gonna be a deep question, where you go through an event with this person and you go, oh my goodness, this is the type of event that could have caused a trauma, but I'm in a stage of mindset where I don't let that happen. What is an event in a relationship or friendship where you go, man, had I been younger or the older me, I would not have been able to not let this thing affect me hard. Right now, I can handle this so well. I couldn't have before.
okay, I have an example. So I had someone that is no longer a friend
Okay.
that had made a comment to me about my makeup skills not being the best.
Wow, that's rude.
So I think if I was a little bit younger and I wasn't as advanced as I feel right now, I
Yeah.
think it would have broke me. I
You
probably
are
would have
pretty good, by the way. I can see like the shadowing. Yeah.
you. I think it would have broken me, and I probably would have been like, "Oh, I guess I'm not that good." But to me, I'm just like, you know what? That's just your opinion. You
Yep.
know, that's how you feel, and that's okay. You know, because in my opinion, you know, I feel like I've dedicated enough time, I practice enough. You know, I practice on other people to feel that I think I am full confident of my work, and I'm proud of my work. So yeah, I
And
hope that answers the
self-confidence.
question. Does that answer the
It
question?
sure does.
Okay.
Yeah. I love to talk about these types of events because it's the little events that people do not put any stock in that literally change their personality and mindset and life in so many ways. Like you get somebody says something and you just take it too deep. The next person says something and you're just like, oh, maybe I need to change. And then somebody else, and it's okay. It's good to evolve and change and get better. But what you described is exactly that. It's like, no, I've done the assessments. I'm good here. And
Yeah.
self-confidence is imperative there.
Yes.
Okay. Did you have any questions before we wrap
Yes.
it up for me?
Just one question for
Go
you.
ahead.
So okay, what do you consider yourself as in this generation? Do you consider yourself as the modern sassy man, or like where do you fall in between
Of
that?
course. So for me, um, the way I describe the modern man is trying to find any way to do to cover themselves. I'll just say it like that. And I feel like it's so fake to cover only yourself because everything is about the people around you. And I've actually written this whole diagram called priorities, but the diagram basically shows that there are levels of good. I'll send it to you offline just so you can look at it. It's really cool. It
Yeah.
basically says that you have to take care of yourself's survival, yourself's enjoyment, yourself's goals, and yourself's fulfillment. Then you have to do the exact same for the people around you, for your relationship, for
Yeah.
your family, for your community, for the world. And you have to slowly fill up the whole meter. If you don't, you end up feeling lackluster somewhere. And so I say all that to say, for me, I would say I'm very far from the modern man mindset because what I've been working towards is, so for instance, modern men typically don't also have as many passion is something that they don't know about really, so they're like always looking for their purpose and what they're going to do. I've known since I was 8 what I was going to do, and I've done all the calculations for it. So like for instance, there's a series that I'm working on. It's a book series, but I'm also working on a software that basically will create gifts, but they're going to be analogies, and it's going to be basically a language for analogies, an analogy language, allowing everybody to be able to share an analogy that is clear that we all can see, so we can all communicate better. Stuff like this. And so I feel like because the goal is to do, I said this on another podcast just recently, so I'll say it again. But the goal is to be extraordinary. So to do
Yeah.
that, I must be extraordinary. So that doesn't mean I'm going to succeed easily, but it does mean I've picked a hard path, and the modern man runs from hard things.
Yep.
So does that kind of answer it, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
Melanie, this has been an incredible time. talking to you about this. And we have some really cool stuff in the works. This is me jumping back into doing Ody Speaks because I've been a little busy. We did a recent music performance stuff, a bunch of performances recently, about 4 or 5 in the past 2 months. And 2 or 3 songs have just been made. And then we should be doing a convention for the book series, and then a clothing brand will be launched during that period as well. So it's been really, really busy. I'm jumping back into doing podcasting, had to get a new laptop, get that set up. So I appreciate y'all coming and sticking with us through all the different issues we've had technologically. However, I do want to ask you, Melanie, what are some places that people can get to know you, find your content, find information about you?
Yes. You guys can follow my makeup page, support my business.
And I will share it and support it as well.
So it is staged_beauty. That's my tag for Instagram, or you can follow me on Facebook at Melanie Marie. I don't post too much of my makeup content on there. So if you want to follow me on Instagram at staged_beauty, that would be amazing. I do makeup on the side. If you really want to have a big event that's coming up, just let me know. I would love to add you to my portfolio. But that's all my socials. Oh, one more social.
Go ahead.
I almost forgot.
Go ahead.
I'm big on TikTok. I do a lot of get ready with me. So if you guys want to follow me on there, it's natural_boricua. Boricua, like the Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
That's Boricua.
Puerto Rican and Cubans, we got it in here.
Yes. So those are my socials, and you guys can reach out to me on there. Hey,
Wonderful.
Thank you for having me. I love it. I'm so excited.
This was great.
My first podcast ever.
Oh yeah, don't worry. We're going to be doing some more. And the next time we actually do this, I'm going to have my actual sound and video and audio guy. He does all that stuff. I had to call him before the show to set it up because he's busy with some other stuff he's working on. But the next one, we're going to have him in-house. That means I won't have to do everything, which means it's going to come out even better.
No technical difficulties.
Oh yeah. In any case, thank you so much, Melanie Marie, for being a part of this show. Thank y'all for watching, and please subscribe, like, comment, and check out the next one. All right. Bye.
You keep me down.